Merry Christmas, boys and girls! Merry Christmas in May, that is. I thought today I would wear my reindeer sweater and read to you a Christmas themed story for our RRA. And I tried to choose one that I didn't think many people, if any of you, had ever heard or read before. It's called Santa is Coming to Philadelphia. Now, this book, we also have Santa is Coming to London. You can find it in all different locations. And the cool thing is you get to learn a little bit as you're reading this fun story. Santa is Coming to Philadelphia, written by Steve Smallman, illustrated by Robert Dunn. And right away, you might recognize some places, the Art Museum, there's City Hall, Geno's Steaks. If you've ever had those cheesesteaks, you know that's a great place to go visit in Philadelphia. Santa is coming to Philadelphia. Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Philadelphia been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bustled across the busy workshop to Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering piles of letters that the children of Philadelphia had sent him. Mostly? Asked Santa, looking down over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good in the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, chuckled Santa. Then we'd better get their presents loaded up. Even though the sack of presents was really, really big, and the elves were really, really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh. Though how they managed to fit such a big sack into one little sleigh, even they didn't know, but somehow they did. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him, but... Just then, a young reindeer strolled up, munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that it was no wonder he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh, well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out his Santa nav and tapped in the coordinates for Philadelphia. This will guide us to Philadelphia in no time. Crunch, crunch, crunch. A little onomatopoeia there for you. Some sound words. With a flick of his reins and the jerk of the harness, off they went, racing through the sky. Ho, 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 laughed Santa. We'll soon have those presents delivered to dear old Philly. Oh, here's my dog. Here's Frank. Hi, Frank. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Arctic Ocean. On they flew in the wintry air, crossing the coast over Lake Erie. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying above Allentown and toward the Delaware River. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before. You might have heard, boys and girls, some places mentioned that you've heard of or maybe even been to before around Philadelphia. Just going to close that door. They had just flown over the Betsy Ross Bridge when suddenly they ran into a blizzard. Snowflakes whirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem too concerned. In 2 miles, said the Santa nav in a boss lady's voice, keep left at the next star. So it's kind of like Google Maps, or if you have a Garmin, or the app Waze. So Santa nav is what's telling Santa where to go and how to get there. But ma'am, Santa blustered. He's talking to the navigation. I can't see any stars in all this snow. Soon they were hopelessly lost. Then, through the howling blizzard, the youngest reindeer heard a faint ringing sound. Ding dong, ding dong. He looked over at the old reindeer with the red nose. Red nose, I wonder who that could be, it says. But he had his head down. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. There was that sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest reindeer turned around to look at Santa. But Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with buttons on it. Here we see him doing that right there. With a flick of the harness, I think that's like what his navigation is in. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off toward the sound of the bells, pulling Santa and his sleigh behind him. Whoa! Cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. What's going on? Then, to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound. Well done, young reindeer, he shouted cheerfully. It must be Holy Trinity Church. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming. Then suddenly, you want to say it with me? Crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the snow clouds. You have arrived, said the Santa Nav unhelpfully. Finally, when the snow had died down and the clouds parted, Santa discovered exactly where they were. Stuck below the statue of William Penn at the very top of City Hall. The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear of the statue, and Santa steered them safely over City Hall, past the Reading Terminal Market, above Chinatown's Friendship Gate, and down into Franklin Square. Here he's saying, everybody pull! Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted out the presents into order again. All right, said Santa. Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children. Santa is coming. Santa drove his sleigh expertly from rooftop to rooftop all over Philadelphia, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could go. And look, it says here, which was pretty fast for a chubby fellow. There were big chimneys in Old City and small chimneys in Pennypack. Those are places inside Philadelphia. He squeezed down thin chimneys in Boathouse Row and plummeted down fat chimneys in Spring Garden. The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Philadelphia were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry too. In house after house, Santa delved inside his sack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Philadelphia had left out a plate of cookies, a small glass of milk, and a big crunchy carrot. Santa took a little bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, wiped his beard, and popped the carrots into his sack. Right about now, I'm suddenly wanting a cookie. What about you, boys and girls? From Doylestown to Norristown, from King of Prussia to Bryn Mawr, from Jenkintown to Haverford, and all the places in between. Maybe it should have said Cochranville or Ackland or Parksburg or Christiana, huh? Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Center City and beyond. Santa delivered presents to Andrew, Allison, Anna, Arabella, Archie, Ashley. The list went on and on. Zach, Zara, Zeb, Zoe, Zibble? Zibble? There must be a spelling mistake, surely. So basically, all the boys and girls from A to Z. Oh, and I see that Rocky statue by the Philadelphia Art Museum there. Finally, Santa had delivered the last present on his long Philadelphia list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. "It's past midnight and my sack seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was filled with juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa divided the carrots among all the reindeer, pardon me. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching. Then it was time to set off for home. Santa reset his Santa nav once more to the North Pole, and soon they were speeding past Penn's Landing and over the Liberty Bell through the crisp, starry night. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Philadelphia!" And there's our Philadelphia skyline. Boys and girls, I hope you have a merry day today and every day, of course. I wish that for you. And I hope you enjoyed today's Christmas-themed holiday RRA. See you next time.